Welcome in to Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us as we recap the 2022 NFL Draft for your Seattle Seahawks and give our final 7-round grade. Before we get to the grades, let's go ahead and look back at the picks for the Seahawks. It all started in round number 1 with offensive tackle Charles Cross with the number 9 overall selection from Mississippi State, followed by Boye Mafe, the edge rusher from Minnesota at 40. That was followed up at 41 by Kenneth Walker III, the running back from Michigan State. Then in the third round, to end things on day 2, the Seahawks went with offensive tackle Abraham Lucas from just down the road at Washington State with the 72nd selection. Then on day 3, 4 selections for the Seahawks. It started with Cobe Bryant, a familiar name, as he gets taken at 109 by Seattle, the cornerback and the Jim Thorpe Award winner. Tariq Woolen, the cornerback from UTSA, is the 5th-round selection at 153, while at 158, just a few picks later, Tyreke Smith, the edge rusher from Ohio State, was picked, as well as Bo Melton at 229, a wide receiver from Rutgers, with the 7th-round pick. And then the Seahawks also had another 7th-round pick as well, Dareke Young, a wide receiver from Lenoir-Rhyne, which sounds like a fake school of some sorts to the likes of Bishop Sycamore, but nonetheless, we'll get to him later on. But in total, the Seahawks had 9 selections in this year's draft. And we'll go over all those grades in just a moment for the Seahawks. But before we do, we want to hear from you guys. How do you feel the Seahawks did in this 2022 draft? Here's your chance to weigh in and tell us how you guys think the Seahawks did. John Schneider and Pete Carroll were given the most important draft for the Seahawks in quite some time. Did they do their job or did they disappoint? Here's your chance to weigh in and tell us in the comments by typing A, B, C, D, or F on how the Seahawks did in their 2022 draft. I'll have my grade in just a moment, but I want to hear from you guys first in the comments section how the Seahawks did. You get an ad break here in just a second. Take advantage of it and put your comments in how the Seahawks did in the draft. Now, let's go ahead and go through these picks for the Seahawks, starting with Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State. Our own Tom Downey has him as the number 3 offensive tackle in this draft and the number 10 player overall in the 2020 class. Described as a really good pass protector. All the athletic traits you would want, with run blocking still a work in progress. Not something that he saw a whole lot in Mike Leach's offense at Mississippi State. But the track record for Charles Cross speaks for itself, only allowing 2 sacks at the left tackle position in 2021. Then in the second round, Boye Mafe was the second pick of the draft for the Seahawks, the number 7 edge and number 42 player overall, according to Downey. And the report on him includes a pass rushing specialist who had great testing, showed the ability to drop into coverage too, still needs to develop more in the run game. And with Boye Mafe, you may see that number at 7, but realistically, the edge rushers were so good in the 2022 draft that in most years, a player like Mafe is probably easily a first-round selection. Instead, with as much depth as there was at that position, he slides to the second round there for Seattle's first pick in the second. Then the next pick for the Seahawks was Kenneth Walker III, the running back from Michigan State. Walker was tremendous at Michigan State, including a 5-touchdown performance against Michigan as they were able to knock off their arch rivals in one of the biggest wins in college football this past year, as Michigan State had one of their best seasons in a very long time, and our boss, James Yoder, certainly appreciated that so much. Oh, there you have it. A lot of excitement there, as you can tell, about Kenneth Walker here from the Chat Sports Studios. Now, Walker, he broke out with the Spartans, leading the country with 89 forced missed tackles, and He's known as a big play running back that fits through initial contact. Not great results in the pass game and pass blocking game, but if you look at a guy, let's say like Leonard Fournette as an example, you saw what he has done in the Bucs offense in the last couple of years where he's learned how to become a pass catcher in the backfield. I think that's somebody that Kenneth Walker can model himself after as a guy that can develop along the way in that pass-catching game. He has the run ability as a power and speed back. He should be able to figure that out. The next pick for the Seahawks was Abraham Lucas from Washington State. Very similar scouting report to Charles Cross, the offensive tackle that the Seahawks selected at number 9, in that you're talking about a guy that played in a pass-heavy offense that did not run protect that often, and he played the right tackle position, so he should be able to slide right in at the right tackle spot for the Seahawks. And now you have both starting tackles essentially taken care of for the Seahawks with this selection. A guy that kind of went under the radar, the number 5 tackle according to our own Tom Downey, but the Seahawks find him in the 3rd round. So now I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of these selections? Well, you know, for me, I'll have my grade here in just a second, but you guys have your chance to give your grade, A, B, C, D, or F, on how the Seahawks did with this draft here in 2022. My grade, I'm going with a B+ for the Seahawks. And I know that I said earlier this week I don't like to give out plus-minus grades and all that, but as I look more and more into this draft, it wasn't quite A quality, but it wasn't B quality. It was somewhere in between. And so for me, that's why I give this a B+ for the Seahawks at this point. You know, the Seahawks found talented players up and down the board, and they did a really good job of finding good defensive talent to fix that defense that had a lot of issues in 2021. But they still did not come away from this draft taking care of every need that they needed to. When we've been evaluating this Seahawks team for the last several weeks, what have we been telling you time and time again? Quarterback, offensive tackle, edge rusher, inside linebacker, cornerback. Well, your quarterback is still Drew Lock and Geno Smith. You have not taken care of the quarterback position. I'm sorry, you just haven't. Now, maybe you go get Baker Mayfield or somebody like that, but you have not taken care of the quarterback position, no matter what Pete Carroll and company say when they tell you, oh, we brought in Drew Lock or Geno Smith. That's not good enough, folks. Now, the inside linebacker position, you have some options internally, but question marks about the long term of replacing Bobby Wagner. I would have liked to seen a piece in this draft potentially be that guy, and they didn't necessarily do that. And although Kenneth Walker, a very talented player for the Seahawks and arguably the best running back in this draft, could the Seahawks have taken care of other needs first before getting Kenneth Walker at that running back position? I think so. I think there was other things they could have prioritized before taking a running back, considering you already have Chris Carson or Rashad Penny as far as that goes. So we want to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and we are growing fast here on Seahawks Today. We are nearing 26,000 followers. We are just less than 150 followers away, so we want to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you can get the latest from Seahawks Today each and every day with daily Seahawks content. Turn on those notifications, youtube.com/Seahawks TV to be an award-winning subscriber to Seahawks Today. I'm with you, giving you all the content beyond the draft. We're all over free agency, counting down to training camp. It'll be here before you know it. youtube.com/Seahawks TV. We move into the day 3 selections for the Seahawks. Cobe Bryant, you can see on your screen, was really good at Cincinnati. The Jim Thorpe Award winner had 3 interceptions this past season for the Bearcats on their way to taking Cincinnati to the college football playoff, the first time a non-Power 5 school has made the college football playoff, and he held his own at most of the time and has a pretty decent body frame as well with that 6'1" standing. Then you move to the 5th round, and this guy, most people didn't think was going to be around the 5th round. The Seahawks double up at the cornerback position and get Tariq Woolen in the 5th round from UTSA. He's 6'4", a former wide receiver, and this one has a lot of potential, folks. I know that it's, a little shaky of sorts when you're talking about drafting the same position twice, but Tariq Woolen might be an exception here with the project you have in mind at 6'4", 205. Who knows what they're going to be able to work out with Woolen here. This is a good project potentially for the Seahawks with this 5th round pick with Woolen sliding to the 5th round like he did. And then also in the 5th round for the Seahawks, Tyreke Smith. Now, this pick I wasn't too high on. An edge rusher from Ohio State was not that great, and I'll make my boss happy, and anytime I can talk bad about Ohio State, we'll make up for my comments about Michigan earlier. But, he had 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble. I expected more out of Tyreke Smith this past year than what he was able to come up with. The Seahawks, though, they like the measurables that he brings to the table, and whether he's playing linebacker or edge, whatever it may be, we'll see where the Seahawks can find a fit for him, probably more likely in those edge spots. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Who was your favorite Seahawks draft pick? Of the 9 selections that they made, who was your favorite guy? Let us know in the comments section who you think the best draft pick for the Seahawks was in 2022. A couple more for you in the 7th round. Bo Melton, a wide receiver from Rutgers. And this one was a guy that was talked about a lot on message boards, a favorite among some of the late round guys. And although the numbers weren't so great, when you talk about the pure speed that he possesses and what he brings to the table in that way, this is a guy that could potentially be a return man of some sorts, could have that type of impact that way. So maybe more than just a receiver that you're getting out of Bo Melton. The other pick in the 7th round, Dareke Young, the wide receiver, similar situation, somebody that has a lot of speed as well, but there were concerns about his breakaway from separation from cornerbacks at that college level that he was playing at this previous season. Now, it also is worth noting he does have a decent body frame at 6'2", 220. So there you have it. That is the Seahawks draft. All 9 picks. We've broke them down for you. I want to know, who was the worst Seahawks draft pick? You heard us talk about all of the picks for the Seahawks, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I've been asking, all week some of your favorite picks, all the positives and such. Give me the negatives. Who's the guy you didn't like? Here's your chance to be a hater in the comments section and tell us who the worst draft pick for the Seahawks was. My final grade for the Seahawks, a B+. It was a good draft, but it wasn't a perfect draft. And there were some needs that weren't addressed, but of the ones that were addressed, the Seahawks did a really good job of it. And in particular with Charles Cross, finding your starting left tackle, although you don't have the quarterback of the future right now, you have the guy that will protect whoever the quarterback of the future is in Seattle going forward. That is a reason to be optimistic for this franchise heading in to 2022. Seahawks Today is presented by Chat Sports, and we're bringing you videos all the time. We want to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel for daily Seahawks coverage. We're not slowing down during the offseason as we count down to training camp. We want to make sure that you are subscribed and a part of what we're doing here on Seahawks Today as we near 26,000 followers. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV to be a part of what we're doing here on Seahawks Today.